Hi everyone, Andrea from And Beyond and andbeyondimprov.com here to talk with you a little bit about networking. So one of the things I get asked about a lot is how to handle yourself at a networking event, what to say, what to do if you're in a time of career change, if you're just starting out on a new business or a new venture of some kind. So I'm going to be sharing with you some of my best tips and tricks for networking, even if you're newer to networking or you're out of practice or you're in a time of career change. Step one is to make sure that you are clear, sincere, and concise in your messaging about why you're at this networking event, what it is that you're up to. And the reason for this is that just think about all the other people at a networking event as little search engines. So if you're familiar with search engine optimization, the whole idea is that you want to make sure that you're presenting your content in a way where people who are searching for that can find you. So you want to make sure that Google or YouTube or whatever are pulling up your content when people are searching for things related to your expertise. So similarly, at a networking event, this is your opportunity to tell the different people that you're talking with about what you do. And you want to make sure that you are clear, sincere, and concise about what it is that you're doing so that you can come to mind at the appropriate time down the road. It's important to remember that you're not just talking to only this person, you're talking to their network as a whole, right? You don't need to make sure that this is exactly the right person from the company for you to be talking to. The point is, this is the person that's in front of you. This is your scene partner, as we say in improv. So make sure that you are engaging with them as a human being and just thinking about every single thing that you say about what you do should be focused on what you want to be remembered by down the road. The most important thing is to make sure that you're talking about what you want to be doing and not getting really hung up on why it is that you're leaving or why it is that what you're doing right now didn't work for you. You want to make sure that you are saying things and talking about what you're passionate about, what you do want, what you do love, and being super, super clear on what it is that you can do to be helpful to this person or to potentially other people in their network down the road. So one of the solutions that I like to offer my clients, if they're having trouble condensing down their big, big vision for their next career move or for a new business venture, is I encourage them to play an improv game called Half-Life. So how Half-Life works is that you set 90 seconds on your timer and you start talking either to your mirror, to a friend, to a family member, 90 seconds about your vision, about what you really, really care about. Then you set the timer for 1 minute or for only 30 seconds, and then 15 seconds, and then 7 seconds. And the goal isn't to try to say it faster and faster and faster and faster. The goal is to condense down and notice, what are my anchor points? What are the words that I care the most about? What are my keywords, as we might say, to further the search engine optimization analogy? So start noticing, what are those things? And then you can, of course, ask yourself, do I agree with that? Is that something that ultimately I care about? Or do I need to start finding different ways to talk about that? But start playing that game and condensing down your message into some keywords or key talking points about what you really care about. Because you want to go to this networking event prepared to talk about what matters so that you don't get distracted and hung up talking about the stuff that doesn't matter. It's not that it's so hurtful to get hung up talking about baseball or kids or things. It's just that down the road, it's not helpful to you if this person meets someone else that's from Lima, Ohio and says, I was at a networking event and I just met someone else from Lima, Ohio. That's not so helpful. But if this person is at a networking event or talking with a friend at a party, and this person is saying, man, at work, we're just really not managing our volunteers well. I'm getting so frustrated with every time we have a fundraiser, every time we have an event, it's a total fiasco. It is helpful if that person says, I just met someone the other day that does volunteer management coordination. Would it be helpful if I sent an introductory email? That's helpful. So that's why you want to make sure you don't get caught forever just talking about the little stuff. Step 2 is to make sure that you've updated your social media presence. It's good to know, if you're not someone that uses LinkedIn regularly, that people will probably look you up there after a networking event. So you want to make sure that your presence on LinkedIn, your description of what you're doing, indicates what you talked about, so they don't get on your profile and it just looks like you're employed full-time somewhere else. Tip number 3 is invest in a networking card. So one of the mistakes that I see people make at networking events, and it just pains me, is I see them either handing out business cards that have their company's brand and logo on them, which, first of all, depending on what you've said already, you don't want to be reflecting poorly on your current employer. So you want to make sure that if you're putting yourself out there as someone who is transitioning to something new, starting your own business, you don't want to be handing out, a business card that has old branding on it. Sometimes I see people handing out business cards that even have branding from a past venture that they were doing that didn't work out, and they'll cross off that information and write in pencil or pen their current contact information. Don't do that. Sometimes people don't even have a card at all, and they'll ask for one of my business cards and write their information on it and hand it to me. So those are all for instances of things that I see on a somewhat regular basis at networking events. Don't do that. It's not just that it's not professional and polished. It's more of an energetic thing. The way that people feel about themselves and about their expertise when they're handing out business cards that represent something that they don't feel good about, that's not the type of energy you want to be putting out there. You want to be positive. You want to be excited and joyful about this next chapter of your life. So have a networking card that represents that vibe. You don't need to get hung up on a logo. You don't need to get hung up on all that kind of stuff. A simple networking card will do. I often also encourage my clients, if they're just getting started and they feel hindered about creating a networking card because they don't have a website yet, don't worry about that. Make an about.me page or something similar that you can reference on your networking card so people can look you up online and get maybe download a resume, download a portfolio, something like that is a really good place to get started at the very beginning. The other thing is you absolutely cannot expect that everybody will have a business card to hand you. Whenever that happens, what I do is pull my phone out and I make a note of their email address. I ask them right away, or I'll say, could you spell your name for me? I want to look you up on LinkedIn later. People are at networking events to connect with other people. So it's my experience that people respond just fine to the level of directness that is, I'm putting your information in my phone because I'm going to look you up later. That's totally fine and acceptable. You don't need to feel worried about that, especially if you've reached a point in the conversation where it's clear that there's more to talk about. My fourth and final tip is to remember that networking is a two-way street. So offer to be helpful. Even if you're just getting started, or even if you feel like your network isn't that big, there's totally a chance you can make a connection for someone else. I like to offer to people that they can go through my LinkedIn connections, and if they see someone that they'd like an introduction, I'm happy to do that for them. Look for ways to be helpful. Look for ways to add value. Even if you are feeling vulnerable because you're in a time of career transition and you feel like you need a lot out of the networking event, just remember that it's impossible to outgive a strong network. So if you're looking for ways to contribute positively, that will come back to you as well, and you'll stand out in people's minds even more. So now you know how to maneuver a networking event, but that information doesn't really matter if you're not clear on what it is that you want, or you don't believe that it's possible to do work that's joyful and fulfilling. And that's the reason why I created Rise, the career advancement system, to help folks harness improv in order to create joyful and fulfilling careers using the tools and skills and resources they already have. You can get more information about Rise, the career advancement system, in the link below this video. In the meantime, subscribe to our channel and then click the bell icon so you get a notification anytime we add new content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.